test on Tuesday. So Monday will be practice test. Tuesday is the test. Thank you, those of you who are sitting quietly.
If you walk out to ID, then the bus stop.
It's a live track on.
Okay. So, what's different here on this one from the other one? What's different here from the ones we've been doing? Yes, we have to multiply by that. Okay. So, does anybody remember? Anybody remember what x squared and then 2x squared, what that 2 does to get from the x squared to 2x squared? What does the 2 do to the graph of the x squared?
Oh.
That's right. Stretches it up vertically. So let's see if that's what happens on this one. So what would be my endpoint on this one? I'm going to call on a group. Is the 2 going to affect the endpoint?
Yes.
It's not. Not going to have any effect on that endpoint. So we're just looking at what's inside the square root. I agree with the 0.
Negative 1, 0?
This group here.
Oh.
What would our endpoint be? Okay, this is the warning. First warning, if I have to say something again, I'm going to double the homework assignment. I don't want to have to do that. So you guys need to stop talking when I'm talking. So, what would be my endpoint? 0, 0. So 0 inside here, and then 0 added outside here. So that 2 in the front has no effect on my endpoint. So a helping point, if I want to get 4 as my result, what would I plug in there for x? 4. So again, you don't have to use 4. I just go to 4 every time. Maybe 4. So then when we plug it in, we get y equals 2 times the square root of 4. What do we do first, the multiplication or the square root? Square root. So 2 times 2, which is 4. So 0, 0, and 4, 4. And we know this is our endpoint. And what kind of shape is it going to be?
A radical probably.
Yeah, radical because of the square root. So this is what our graph looks like. Half of a parabola if we look at it sideways. So my domain on this one, this group here, what's my domain? X is greater than or equal to 0. And then what about my range? Somebody besides Derek.
Y is less than or equal. Wait, greater than 2.
Okay, take your time.
Greater than or equal to 0.
Yes, good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody still looking at this?
No.
Okay. Good. Okay, so now we've got a negative 2 in the front there. So what's my endpoint? Hand, please.
Repeat question, please.
The endpoint. I want to know what the endpoint will be.
0, 0.
0, 0 again. So this -2 doesn't affect my endpoint. What it affects is it affects the shape of the graph. So my helping point, what would be a number I could put?
You could put 4.
Okay.
4, -4.
So 4, and then y equals -2 times square root 4. So 4, -4 as Aiden said. Okay, domain and range. Tell me what the domain and range is. Be careful.
I got you.
Oh, let me draw the graph first. Sorry about that. 0, 0, and then we have a point at 4, -4. So this is my endpoint. This is where I start. Is my graph going to go like this, or is it going to go like this?
Go like that. The second one. It's going to go down.
Like a rainbow.
Okay.
So this is what it would look like up on the top. We are reflecting it, so my graph goes like this. If you're unsure, you can always put another point in. So that dotted line we don't need. I just wanted to show you that that's why the graph curves downward like that. Okay, so domain and range. Be careful. What's the domain and range? Did I already tell you guys last time?
Yeah, you did.
No, you didn't. No, you
You
didn't.
lied over there. We didn't leave the first 2. Who said 0, 0?
So,
Who said 0, 0?
You can say 0, 0 on this one.
Yeah.
I'm on the domain.
Oh, okay. What's yours?
I want to open it.
Greater than or equal to? Yes, x is greater than or equal to 0.
Boy.
Thank you, Armani. Now, what about the range? Be careful.
No, no.
So these values down here, really easy to do that because all the ones we've had so far have been greater than or equal to. This is facing down, right? So these numbers are bigger than, less than. Good. Good job. So y is less than or equal to 0.
Why is it 0? Why wouldn't it be infinity?
So we are just using a y and a less than or equal to 0. You can write that as 0, negative infinity, less than y, less than or equal to 0. Either one. Either way is fine. Yes?
It's not really related to this. When you do -4, -4, would you like reflect it going out the other way? For the other, I mean, for the other side, it's like a.
So this negative, what this negative does is it takes the graph and it reflects it over the x-axis. So yes, that point would be reflected up, or reflected from here down.
So would that be the same for like, if you drew the other side, would that be a parabola or would it not be a parabola because we're working with the square root and the square root function is supposed to.
So just the 2 square root of x is going to look like that.
Okay. So there is no.
No, it's just half of it. Yeah.
Cool. That's why. I
Yeah.
saw that I was
I just showed it so that you knew that the curve went like that. You understood why. Okay, so now what's my see back here. What is my endpoint? 0, -2. Good. I love how you guys kind of talk to each other about it. I love that. So the helping point, I want to get a 4 on the inside. So can I just put in 4 on this one? Yeah. There's nothing that I have to add or subtract from x to get 4 on the inside. Just looking for 4 on the inside. So I'm going to put in a 4. So we do the square root first. 3 times 2 minus 2. And what do we get then for the answer?
4.
Yeah, 4. 6 minus 2 or 4. So 0, -2, and 4, 4.
That's too curvy.
Yes. So this 3 took the graph that would have been just like this, and took it and vertically stretched it. You're trying to make sense of when you have your graphs. So now, what is my domain and range? Here in this group, tell me what my domain and range are.
Your domain to be x is greater than or equal to 4.
So we're looking. Let me draw this better.
Oh, would you start from the point you start?
Yeah, your end point. Yep.
Okay, so then it would be
0. X is
greater than or equal to 0.
greater than or equal to 0. Okay.
Because when we see it intersect at the 4, can you say that as well? And would that be possible? No.
What about 4?
So I'm saying because you see it go through, because there's another point you know it intersects through.
No, so you want to start with your end point. So your end point is where you start from, because all the other values get bigger than that. So my range, same group. Be careful. You should have answered that one, so let's have somebody else in the group answer it.
My group?
Yeah.
The range?
Uh-huh.
So that y is greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to -2. Good. So you're using your endpoint, aren't you, when you're finding your domain and range? Yeah. Okay, next one. Anybody still looking at? Did I move that too quick? Are we still writing?
That was the last one.
Okay, so what's my endpoint on this one?
4.
This group here. Tell me what my endpoint would be. So inside here tells you your x.
Yeah, 4. Wait, no, -2.
Is it -2 or +2?
Positive.
+2. And then what's your y value? Thank you.
I do have to answer that too.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else in your group maybe help out. 4. Yes, good. 2, 4. So now a helping point. We want to get 4 for our answer when we subtract 2. So what -2 would give me 4? 6. So then substitute it in. 1/2 square root 6 minus 2 plus 4. 1/2 times square root 4 plus 4. Square root of 4 is 2, so we're going to take half of 2 plus 4 or 3.
No.
Square root of 4 is 2.
Yeah, but wait, half of 2.
Half of 2 is 1. Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus 2.
Plus
is
4.
that plus 4?
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Plus 4. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Plus 4 is 5. Yeah, I was just making sure you're paying attention, and you were.
Okay.
2, 4. Good job. Good catch. 6, 5.
Good job.
And then this is a square root, so it's going to be curved there. And then what did the half do?
Oh, agree.
Vertically
Compresses.
This is it. Yeah, so it takes the original graph and makes it flatter. Okay? So domain and range. Here, this is here. Tell me the domain. Use your endpoint. Take a look at your x value of your endpoint.
X is
Greater than or equal to, or greater than or less than. So these values here go up. So they go up, right?
Yeah.
So greater than or equal to or less than, greater or less than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Yep. Same group. Somebody besides Madison. Thanks, Madison. Somebody else in the group. What's my range?
Y is greater than.
That's correct. Okay, last one before we do the right of function to the match of function to the graph. Still looking at this?
You got a little bit. No.
Okay, endpoint. Let's group here. What's my endpoint? Number 5. -2, 4. And then a helping point. If I want to get 4, what do I add to 2? Anybody? What do I add to 2 to get 4? 2. So 2 plus 2 plus 4. So I get 4, square root of 4 plus 4. And then what do I get for the solution? -2, yep. Okay, my domain, let me draw it first. -2, 4, 2, -2. So this is my endpoint. Pay attention, because sometimes it's hard, but since this is a little bit different. When I draw it, my endpoint is here. Is this curve going to go this way, or is it going to go this way? So my curve is going to go this way. So again, if we were reflecting it, that is what the other half would look like. Okay. When we have a negative as part of our multiplier. Okay, last one. This one's a little harder. What is my endpoint for this graph?
6, 3, or 3, 6. Oh shoot, I'm not helping with these 3, 6.
Okay.
Oh wait, never mind.
Because see how there's an arrow there? Right, that's where my endpoint would be, right here. Does that make sense? What's that endpoint? -1, 0. So for my equation, I can tell I'm going to have a multiplier because it is really stretched up. So I'm going to find out what that multiplier is last. To get this to be -1 for my x value, what do I do with the x? X plus 1. So we do the opposite, so it's a +1. Okay, so I'm going to go 1 unit to the right. That's the easiest one to use, and I'm going to look at this point here. So that point is.
Is this something the class? Yeah. Is this something the class, please?
Okay, so this point has what y value? 3. So I want to get an answer of 3. So what would I multiply in here when I plug in 0? 0 plus 1, take the square root. What do I multiply in there? So I get an answer of 3. 0 plus 1 is 1. So square root of 1 is 1. So 3 equals blank times 1. 3. So that's a 3. So y equals 3 square root x plus 1. So some of you might be able to do it here. Okay, on to